yeah. Brassy girls everywhere, titty ass hands in the air, somebody over here, shaking for the man of the year, man of the year.
What's good, people? Jimmy Bones here. Very excited. Past couple days over some news that I've seen from AMD. I'm not really pro AMD, but you know what it leads to is very exciting for me as a consumer. Basically, I'm going to be going over the new Ryzen Info for AMD's new GPUs or CPUs, excuse me, that should be launching. I think they said mid-March to late March. So they put out a few articles, as well as a few leaked articles came out that they're going to be supporting and putting out a R3, R5, and R7 version. I know that sounds very familiar, as they're trying to compare themselves and kind of mirror what Intel is doing, which is great for me, because that leads to more competition between Intel and AMD, which leads to lower prices from Intel, as the i7 is way heavily overpriced. The i7's at where the i7 should be probably the price of i5, and then bump those all down, because there's no reason that an AMD FX 6300 and FX 8350 should be 220, I believe that's it for the 83, and then 100 for the 6300, where the 6300 can perform with an i3 and the 83 can kind of go toe-to-toe with an i5, but the i7 is like $350 plus for Intel Core i7 6700K. Even the 7700K is in head over heels in performance over the 6700K, yet that one is like 450 plus for the 7700K there. And scratch all that. AMD's putting out new CPUs. Ryzen, that's the brand for those. They put out the R3 whatever's, the RX 480s and GPU line, which is great. That kind of puts more emphasis on NVIDIA to do better, because as soon as they put those R level GPUs out, we got 970s, we got 1070s, which is probably the best price for performance ratio GPU card ever, coming in at around $400, and it could go toe-to-toe kind of with a 980, maybe a 980 Ti. I don't know if 980 Ti beats a 1070, overclocked and all that. But then you have a 1080, which is a complete beast, which can do most games at a stable. Well, can do it at 60 with mostly high frame rates. I'm not sure about like The Witcher 3 and a couple other games in there. 1080 can do 4K at max settings, 60 frames per second solid. I'm not sure about that, but I definitely know it is a beast of a GPU. 1070 is a beast of a GPU for its price. But I know a couple months ago we were getting info that like AMD was coming up with a CPU that could do, or that was like $200 or less, but that could outperform an i7. I definitely knew that was BS when I first heard it, because that doesn't make any sense from AMD to put out that product to lose that much profit pretty much and lose that much money. It makes no sense. Why wouldn't they do that from the jump? Obviously they had the budget to put out maybe one GPU instead of CPU, goddamn, instead of three. So why wouldn't they I just knew that was BS from the rip. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. And yeah, I was just definitely skeptical until I saw, this latest info, which seems pretty legit. R3, R5, and R7. Like, the R5 is supposed to be at the same level as an i5. And then, of course, R7, same level as an i7. But I imagine that AMD will put these prices at a much more affordable cost compared to Intel. But I believe when it still comes to, like, multitasking and photo editing, or just editing in general, video editing, Sony Vegas and stuff like that, the Intel will still reign supreme in that point. But what really has me interested is that I don't plan on grabbing an AMD GPU. I don't grabbing a R7, but I do plan on grabbing an i7. So I do believe if they put out these CPUs within the next month, or late March actually, that Intel has to lower the prices, because that's competition. They have to compete with AMD. If AMD's putting out a product that's equal to theirs and they're $200 cheaper or $150 cheaper, they're going to be losing money, because they're going to be losing customers that could be shipping over to Intel or just buying Intel CPUs pretty much. Competition is very good. Competition is very good, especially when you have a company like NVIDIA who hasn't really had a lot of competition and can just reign free to do whatever. The prices didn't really get great for NVIDIA until the 970, as I said, with the RX 470 or 480 lineup, which is great for the consumers, because lower prices at a more affordable cost for still great products, and you're not being shafted for them. Who would argue with that? That's pretty much it. Jimmy Bones here. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'm out.